Good afternoon. It's Thursday, September 26th. I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. Cabinet is now considering whether to make the owners of dogs who attack persons criminally responsible. The disclosure was made a short while ago by Justice Minister Delroy Chuck. The issue is now a fiery topic in the public domain following a ferocious dog attack on a teacher in Coopers Hill, St. Andrew. As it now stands under Jamaican law, dog owners cannot be held criminally responsible for the attack of their dogs. They can only be held liable for damages. Minister Chuck stressed that the law may have to be changed given recent dog attacks, as children and adults need to be protected. Now, if Cabinet approves the proposal and it is passed in Parliament, owners of dogs could be imprisoned and or fined if their animals harm persons. Meanwhile, some breeds of dogs could be banned from public spaces. That proposal falls under the responsibility of the Ministry of Agriculture, and Mr. Chuck said dialogue is taking place with Agriculture Minister Audley Shaw on the issue. Now, Mr. Chuck further highlighted that in other jurisdictions, some breeds of dogs are deemed too vicious and dangerous to be anywhere near public areas. Residents and members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force this morning continued their efforts to find the 9-year-old boy who was swept away by heavy waters in Augustown yesterday. Now, TVJ's Kirk Wright has been following this story and now reports.
Herman, well, we're still here in Goldsmith Villa, where lots of residents came out this morning to continue the search for the little boy who was washed away, and he was washed away from a canal which is about 2 feet wide. He was swept away after they said that he was playing in the water. The water took him from that canal to a gully, and it went into the Hope River. Now, residents of the community formed themselves into different teams, and several of them covered the Hope River right along, and many of them, we understand, made their way out to where the river would have entered, out by Harbour View.
We went through the gully, drunk up mountain, in the river, everywhere, searching for the 9-year-old. Swim, climb, macaju, everything.
The river is actually two sides. Were you guys able to form two sides?
Yes, four of us, two on one side, two on the other side.
Okay. And talk to me as to how difficult it is leaving from Augustown now, traversing through this river. How difficult it was?
Rough, right there.
Difficult. Went in deep hole. We have to jump on one of the man them back.
So far, there's been no sighting of the little boy, but residents continue to search. Nevertheless, at the moment it's raining, so they have called up the search, and the council, who is here along with the residents, is asking for help to chop bushes and so on, to do a more detailed search. She has said to me that the mayor, Delroy Williams, has responded and said that he would provide them with rake, machete and other items to help them along with the search. But as I said before, Herman, they've called up the search right now because it's raining, and they intend to continue as soon as the rain subsides. Herman?
All right, thank you. Our reporter Kirk Wright there in Augustown following that story. Business owners in St. James are being warned against facilitating known criminals for profit. This was one of several issues which surfaced at a recent Caribbean Policy Research Institution meeting, CAPRI, panel discussion in that parish. TVJ's Janella Precious now reports.
The forum was held to discuss the findings of a report by the Caribbean Policy Research Institution Capri on lottery scamming, gangs and violence in Montego Bay, St. James. In it, Capri traces the history of the illicit activity, which has been linked to the ongoing gang violence in St. James. A major challenge highlighted, however, was the lack of an official figure of the value of lottery scamming in Jamaica, this and how these cases are being investigated.
One of the things that we found in this study and we mentioned is that there's a lack of coordination that takes place in some regards to the investigations. So you have MOCA investigating, you have FID investigating, you have the Lottery Scam Task Force investigating, and these individual agencies are all doing their individual investigations with not much collaboration from my understanding.
On the issue of investigations, this appealed to the authorities in the United States.
We need to see the United States doing more to help us with the flow of guns.
We have a relationship with the United States in terms of once we identify a source, we collaborate with them.
There are 50 states in the U.S. In this instance, you would say probably 12 states that would be direct routes to Jamaica, as well as all of the ports around Jamaica, as Mr. Bailey just alluded to, the open borders. So it's very difficult to police all of that.
But despite the crime threat, Montego Bay continues to flourish, a fact highlighted by the city's mayor.
We have seen the economy of Montego Bay still growing at a much faster rate than the national economy. Over the last 10 years, over 10,000 new housing solutions have come on stream. Development of Barney Tech Limited, where it is a major BPO tech park, the Fairview Commercial Center, with a village, the expansion of the BPO sector with over 8,000 new employment.
It is felt, however, that this is due partly to the fact that the proceeds of lottery scamming is used to stimulate the economy.
We need to create a structure whereby legitimate businesses who do not support persons who engage in illicit activities are given some form of incentive.
The acting ACP also offered this view about social intervention programs.
I don't see how social intervention is going to get out of this problem. We have to ensure that there is adequate laws that are enforced, and the penalty, in my view, is significant to send the message as well as to take the profit out of the crime.
The Ministry of National Security is in the process of changing faulty cameras which form part of its closed-circuit television CCTV system, Jamaica Eye. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said new cameras are being installed in St. James, Maypen, Spanish Town, Negril, Mandeville, Ocherias, and sections of the corporate area.
Jamaica Eye cameras are being installed now. I think most of them will should be finished by this week. And are being tested because the information I have is that would be fully online with all cameras the end of this month. So I expect them to be tested now. And I checked that last week. The contracts were awarded at the beginning of the month and they're out replacing and installing cameras. They're replacing those of the old that were not properly, that were not working, and they're putting in some additional new ones. But 500 cameras are acquired and they're being installed. And the backbone of the system, which is the interconnectivity between the main towns, was complete. And I expect, as I said, that the deadline I've been given will be fulfilled, and I'll inform end of the month.
And we now take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More news after these messages. Welcome back, continuing the Midday News. Thanks for staying with us. A warning this afternoon that there could be instability in the ganja industry if more small players are not included. Parliamentarians raised concerns and demanded quick action at Wednesday's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee meeting. TVJ's Krista Campbell reports.
Chairman and members of Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC, painted a picture of a cannabis industry in danger. At Tuesday's sitting, they stressed that the industry runs the risk of toppling if regulators do not move swiftly to include more small farmers. Lincoln Allen is CEO of the Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA. He explained that currently 44 licenses have been issued, 21 of them for persons to legally cultivate marijuana. But of the 21 cultivators licensed, only 7 have been issued to persons with 1 acre of land. That's the small farmer. 9 licenses have been issued to persons with 1 to 5 acres of land and another 5 to persons with over 5 acres.
What's even more offensive is that there are persons, we the Jamaican people, have said to farmers who have served their time in prison all 20 years ago or 30 years ago, whether they were trying to export a little thing or grow a little thing or cultivate a thing, we have said to them that their records cannot even be expunged.
PAAC member Alando Terrelong wants the Agriculture Ministry to push the Justice Ministry to address the expungement issue. There were also concerns about the licensing of persons to transport ganja.
So the person who has a transport license for the purposes of the industry can only transport cannabis from license.
So this one person who has a transport license transport all the legal cannabis.
That person is the only licensed transporter at this time, but there are alternative arrangements that have been put in place while the industry matures.
And not for the first time, PAAC members were upset that the application cost is quoted in US dollars, $300 US per person and $500 per company.
This is not the US Senate. It is not. And we can't go anywhere in the world and talk about Jamaican dollars.
PAAC chairman Dr. Wickham McNeil insisted he will not support the industry if it continues operating as is. He urged the CLA to make the necessary adjustments and be prepared to share updates when it reappears before the PAAC in a few weeks. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
Mediation, the answer to reducing deadly disputes. It's a view being pushed by the Justice Minister as the ripple effect of violence continues to impact other sectors, including transportation and the economy. Hence, a call for other groups to support his mediation cause. For Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, the recent shutdown of the transport system in the corporate area is just a glimpse of persons' inability to resolve conflict, which threatens society at all levels.
The argument developed. One crushing the other, one stab one, and guns are readily available, guns are brought into play, 2 are dead. A country cannot solve problems by violence.
This approach, he says, creates an ongoing cycle of crime and violence with threats and reprisals going on for years. It's why he's again pushing for more focus to be put on mediation as a way to resolve disputes. For months, the ministry has been touting improvements in the justice system to include case management and infrastructural developments. Mr. Chuck says mediation is to be part of the development plan, but not only in the justice system.
In the justice centers, we want to have a mediation room where small mediation can be done, but I will be appealing to all the churches to open their doors so that mediation can be done during the week when church is not on, so that we can get less disputes and where there are disputes settled by mediation.
Additionally, he stated that while the Justice Ministry and by extension the government seeks to address these issues, law-abiding citizens also need to play a part in solving the problem, as there are some who are bent on causing chaos.
This is where all of us, not only the government, not only the police, not only the Minister of National Security or Justice, but all of us must take responsibility and play our part in identifying the criminals, exposing them, and ensuring that we can make Jamaica a peaceful place.
Mr. Chuck was addressing new justices of the peace in St. Thomas recently. Herman Green, TVJ News. The Lay Magistrate Association of Jamaica, LMAJ, is calling on lawmakers and law enforcers to deal with drivers on the nation's roadways who have scant regard for or fail to exercise due care for other users of the road. It is also calling for the new traffic laws, which have been approved and gazetted more than 2 years ago, to be enacted, and the companion regulations put in place to support the laws. The call by the LMAJ follows the high number of motor vehicle crashes on the nation's roadways since the start of the year. Of concern to the LMAJ is the number of students that have been injured in road crashes. It pointed to the recent 3-vehicle crash along the Elegant Corridor in St. James, which left 20 students in hospital nursing minor to serious injuries. They say as a result, the already burdened health sector is being put under more pressure. And just a clarification to a story we aired earlier in this newscast, Cabinet is in fact awaiting a response from the Attorney General's office for consideration on whether to make owners of dogs criminally liable for injuries to persons. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says October may prove to be most challenging for Jamaica as it tries to navigate the fallout from Thomas Cook's crash. The company was the second largest global tour provider, and when it folded, it carried implications for thousands of vacation seekers who were destined for Jamaica. Jamaica is also projected to lose close to $10 million from the bookings impacted.
For October, we're looking at how now can we have a rebooking and how other airlines can now be brought into the picture to pick up the slack. Certainly Virgin and British, they both operate here for us. But the problem is that they don't operate out of Manchester. They operate out of Gatwick by and large. So we will have to make some discussions when we go to London as to how we can make sure that those 18,000 are not lost to Jamaica in full. My own take on it is that we're probably going to lose some, and we probably might lose somewhere about 50% maybe.
We go on to news in sports. Waterhouse FC will have a mountain to climb in their return leg CONCACAF League qualifier final contest against Motagua after the visitors recorded a 2-0 win on Wednesday night at the National Stadium. After a goalless first half, Marcelo Pereira gave the Honduran club the lead in the 66th minute. An insurance goal was added in the 71st minute by Kevin Jose Lopez, which proved to be enough on the night.
I guess with a little lack of discipline, unfortunately we come out on the losing end, but that's football. You lose concentration, the good team's going to hit you. So you just have to refocus and try to regroup and come again for the next leg.
Waterhouse will also be without Nicolai Finlayson for the second leg after the central defender was shown a red card in the 82nd minute. The return leg will be played on October 2. And that wraps up the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.